things. Gutter works gutters. Always well hung, just like Justin Barsha. All right.
I still don't ever have anything to say after that because it's still just really weird.
You totally should. So, all right. Okay, so let's just start right here. We'll make it easy. So, I don't know if you caught the show last week.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched.
I don't remember last year if we ran through all 40. I'm only running through 20, and then if there's anyone 21 to 40 that we really need to talk about, we can. But we're not running through all 40 because I don't really have anything to say. I don't have much to say, honestly, beyond the top 6 most of the time, but whatever. Well, for right now. So, anyway. All right, so Jett goes 1-1 again.
Mm-hmm.
He is in total management mode. And I heard a great take by Johnny today, okay? And whether he's consciously doing this or not, I 100% agree with it. He is going to break these guys before we're halfway through the season, strictly for the fact. So, like yesterday, okay, it's hot. He's in management mode. He's keeping like a 5-second gap, right? And that was basically what we saw all day. Like somebody gets closer to him, like that second moto there, Webb and them were creeping up on him. They get within like 3 seconds. Boom, all of a sudden he's 5, right? And it's like, I've seen some interviews with Jett. He claims, no, we're pushing it. Like I'm pushing. Outside of that second moto with Chase last week, I don't think he's been pushing per se. I think he's just been riding. The thing is like, okay, these guys, they're getting better as the summer goes on, obviously.
Yeah, because 2 out of the 3, Chase isn't there, but the 2 out of the 3 out of the 5, or the second through 4 yesterday, didn't really they're not 100% yet.
Yeah. So as they're getting better, and like Webb was pretty happy on the podium yesterday of like, we're a lot closer, whatever. But here's the thing. It's kind of like a guy that has, say, let's just put this in running terms, a guy that has 5-minute mile speed. Mm-hmm. But he's just, I just want to make sure I win, so I'm just going to be, 5 seconds ahead of them. And this guy's like, okay, I'm a 7-minute mile pace. Okay, now I'm a 6:30 pace or whatever. But the guy at 5 who can do 5-minute miles is like, well, look, I just want to maintain ahead of them. So as these guys get faster, they're going to keep, pushing forward there. But then Jett just going to keep going faster and faster. And it's like, oh, shit, like I'm feeling faster, but I'm not catching him at all, you know, and they can tell they're getting faster, but it's like they're still losing by the same amount of time, So whether he's consciously or unconsciously doing it, he's going to mentally, I think, and that's a loose term, but he's going to break these guys at some point because they're going to be like, man, like I'm now in shape for this. Like you get 5-6 rounds in, okay? Webb is going to be in moto shape. Dylan's going to be in moto shape.
I don't think you can break those two guys mentally.
I don't.
AP maybe,
and it may not be 100% mental
Cooper
break.
Webb ever been mentally broken by anybody?
Well, I mean, we all thought that with Ryan Dungey too, and then Tomac beat him by 1.5 minutes, and he was like, I just don't have anything. And those guys aren't going to admit it either that they're broke, but it's like, at what point do you go, dude, I'm pushing the pace, and he's still beating me by 5 or 6 seconds just because he's just cruising, and can maintain and pick up the pace when necessary. So, dude, I don't know. There's been a lot of talk this week. I mean, how do you really bet against at this point him not going 22-0? I mean, things can happen. Don't get me wrong. Barring a mechanical,
it all depends. Like I said,
or he gets caught up in a first turn carnage like what we saw yesterday. I mean, how does he not go 22-0 like this?
Because I stand by this, and we talk. You posed the question. I don't know when it was earlier this week in the group chat. First off, it all depends on when Chase, if he comes back or when he's going to come back, if that happens.
We can talk about that at the end of the 450s.
But
here.
I still stand by is that it all depends on when Dylan gets back to be Dylan, because we've seen so far, and now it's come out, he's not happy with the bike, and dude, that bike was a fucking bucking Bronco.
Now, he did say they found something for second moto yesterday.
It didn't look like it, man. It did not look like it. That bike was shit.
Post-race interviews, he was much happier. He said they made big changes.
Well, how much is much happier, though? Because it's real easy to be much happier after you say you take time off because your bike beats you up so bad after the first round.
He phrased it as, well, we found something, so hopefully this week here I'll be able to actually train instead of just test.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So maybe, but I still look at that bike, dude, and that bike was a fucking bucking
Yeah,
Bronco.
It doesn't look great. It's not great.
So outside of Dylan getting back to form, and who knows, because we know, let's be real, we know right now he's not on form.
No.
He's not 100%. I'd go so far as to say this is like 75% Dylan.
Yep.
Like he's not 90%, whatever. we've talked about this before with Jett, and he did the same thing in the 250 class. He manages. Like, he gets a start, sprints away a little bit, settles into a gap, somebody closes up, he gets word, or he can be aware of it, looking around, like, all right, I'll pull the trigger, whatever. And we've seen it 2 times now in practice. It was a little bit more at Paula. It was only 1.5 at Hangtown. He just pulls off a heater, in the last 3 minutes of the second practice. And we seen it in Supercross enough when he felt like, okay, like, I need to still show those guys that I'm the big dog. But I stand, and I've said this, and Stu even made the comment, whether he's riding at 85, 90% or, subconsciously, consciously, whatever, doing it, Jett is still, though, Stu said it, he doesn't believe that Jett can go much faster, though. And I think by what he meant by that is what I've said to you, much faster consistently. We all know that if Jett wanted to, he could probably go 2.5 seconds faster than all these guys in the middle of the moto. Any one of these guys, if they want to go balls to the wall and take that mental chance of hitting the deck, I bet Coop could do it. I bet AP could do it. AC, if they wanted, could do it. Dude, I remember back in the day when it was still Ricky and Stu, when Michael Essie was on the Jägermeister KTM, the factory KTM team at the time. Dude, there would be times where he'd rip a holy, and you'd watch him and you'd be like, when nobody was pacing Stu and Ricky, for 10 minutes he could run their pace. What happened 11 minutes in? Mentally, he was broken. Mentally, he could not process information. Or your body just gives away. Your body sometimes is only going to be so good enough. You're going to be so much shape where you can do that. Maybe not cardiovascularly, but you're like pumping up. Your fucking thighs are on fire. Your calves are bulging. Like, I think Jett right now, whether he's managing or not, and even JT said this, like, oh, if he wants to go be Aaron Rodgers, he can go win, or he wants to be Trent Dilfer and manage. But I don't think Jett can go much, much faster consistently. 1 lap, 2 laps, for sure. But Jett can't run the pace that he does when he clicks off 2 seconds a lap for a 35-minute moto. So, and once again, now that Stu has said it, it makes me feel more comfortable when I said it. I've said it before.
Yeah.
I don't think Jett could run that pace for 35 minutes. There's a reason why Stu could never do it. Ricky was never able to do it. Like, eventually, your body or your mind gives out. Like, there's nobody in the world, even Hurlings, as much as I praise Hurlings, can run that pace for 35 minutes. So if Jett, could he want there and go out and sprint for 3-4 laps and pull a huge gap? For sure. But that's on the ragged edge. Yeah. So, like, 90% for him, a lot of these guys don't ever ride at 100% for an entire moto. They ride between 85 and 95%. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. But here's the thing, too. You got to figure, okay, if his 100% is 2.5 seconds faster per lap, that means his 90% is what these guys are doing qualifying laps, which is their 100% per lap. So then when they back it down, it's like, okay, well, they're still half a second a lap off of him, easy. And then,
Dylan, the first moto, Dylan being able to keep Jett as close as he did for that long, gives me hope that when Dylan gets back to be 100, he can challenge Jett.
I don't think so. And here's why. The only reason those guys were that close yesterday is because Jett is, for as much as we mock him of him being like this dumb kid, the only reason they were that close is because Jett is like, yeah, I don't need to win by 40 seconds, which is weird because you usually don't see a rookie come in who is that fast and isn't like
Dungey do it.
And isn't like, I'm going to go down. Dungey never had that speed.
Dungey won both Supercross and Outdoor title his rookie year on a 450.
Yes, I understand that.
And he was very aware of
But Dungey didn't have that outright speed like Jett does. You're never going to convince me that Dungey was that fast. Like, no way.
I don't know, man.
Dungey was fast enough to get it done, but Dungey wasn't 4 seconds a lap faster than people. Like, it just wasn't the case. And like I said, it's super weird to me to see a rookie who has that speed to go 2.5 seconds. And even if he tones it back, let's say he tones it back so he's only doing 1.5 seconds per lap faster or whatever, he isn't doing that in the motos. Like, you cannot look at that moto yesterday, watch him ride, and go, yeah, he's fucking pushing the pace. Like, no
I don't.
way.
I'm not saying he's going to.
And that's why those guys are as close as they were yesterday.
But once again, he only can do those heaters for so many laps. So he's still, whether he's riding 85, 90%, that's the thing, though. He's still pushing it.
Yeah.
It's not like he's riding at 50%, he's literally not trying, and he's like, oh, I'm just fucking riding around. Like, it's because Jett is so smooth, and everybody has always said this. It's the same thing Porcel used to do. You watch somebody when they're that smooth and they're that calm and light on the bike, it doesn't look like they're going fast. But Jett got loose quite a few times yesterday.
Was a few,
and you can say that track was not rough. Paula was rougher than that.
It wasn't too bad.
So the fact is, when you make mistakes, that means you're pushing. Now, whether it's his 100%, no, nobody's going to argue that. But he's still out there pushing. So you can say, oh, if he wicks it up to 100%, this and that. Here's the thing. What happens if one of these times he decides to wick it up for 100 because he feels... And Chase, they went back and forth, and we didn't get to talk about this because I wasn't on the Paula show.
Mm-hmm.
Jett, you could tell when Chase was marking him that whole moto.
Yeah.
You could tell mentally, like you could see from his body language and looking around, it shocked him that he didn't drop Chase.
Yeah.
I will argue to the death. When he's looking around and he's looking over,
I'm not going to argue
you can
that.
Almost, so
he even said on the podium, he's like, Chase is going to have more for me this summer.
You can break Jett.
You can.
If Chase...
Well, Chase can break Jett. I don't know that the rest of these guys can.
I stand by my comments, and I keep saying that, is if Dylan is 100%, Dylan can go that fast. He's done it before. I've watched Dylan enough times over the years to see when he wants to go out there and he wants to... Now, whether he hits the ground or not, who knows? But once again, I go back to the MX of Nations ride, and you could say what you want. That qualifying day when he paced Chase that whole time, when it was just about who was faster, he made Chase... He pushed Chase into a mistake.
Yeah.
Sunday was different. Chase, it was all about Chase. But you can't say what he did to Chase on that Saturday. Chase didn't want to go out and win that moto. And Dylan marked him the whole time, pressured Chase into a mistake. Chase hit the ground. Dylan won the race, whatever. I don't know how you can say that if Dylan is not 100%, that he can't go just as fast as Jett if we just watch Chase do it. I don't know how you can say he can't. Like,
I mean, you go. Okay,
your eyes can watch and you can.
So go back a week. Okay, let's go back a week because obviously you weren't here last week to talk. Okay. And let's just to put numbers on it. Let's just say Dylan was 75%. Okay, between body and bike not working, everything. So he gets healthy, fully healthy. He gets the bike fully figured out. You're telling me 25%'s worth 45 seconds a race?
What was he the first moto? What was he at the beginning of the moto?
What do you mean?
Because where
Oh.
was he at the beginning of the moto when he's still fresh and he's not getting worn down because he's only had 5 weeks on the bike and the bike was shit, a bucking Bronco. He was keeping them within, 6-7 seconds? That's what tells me.
Maybe 10
at the end
or
of the
something.
moto, that doesn't tell me shit because you're 75%. If you're 75% at the beginning of the moto, you're going to be 45%, 50% at the end of the moto? Everybody likes to talk about where are you at the end of the moto? Where are you at the end of the moto? I don't give a shit where Dylan is at the end of a moto right now. If Dylan was 100% or 90%, 95%, but when you're telling me he's 75%, he's had 5 weeks on the bike, who knows how many 35-minute motos he had put in before then, and clearly was not happy with the bike. Yeah, he was 45 seconds back or whatever the exact number was at the end of that second moto. Okay, fine. But if he didn't get just dropped at the beginning of the moto when he's at his best...
Yeah.
That's where it tells me, okay, you can work with something. But if he was getting, dude, if you would have told me at the beginning of that moto that he's dropped by 10 seconds within 3 laps, I'd be like, okay, maybe you have something to talk about. But no, man, I don't really care because he's at 50% by the end of the moto because Dylan has never had an issue with cardio. So you mean to tell me when Dylan gets to 100% and he can run that pace that he's just going to get worn down? No, he's not going to get worn down. What did he do in 2021? Why you're wearing the Dylan danger zone? Because Dylan doesn't get tired. We know Dylan does not get tired when he's 100%.
Yeah.
So no, you can say all you want. You can say that you don't believe in Dylan. That's fine. There's nothing that my eyes have not told me that when Dylan is 100% that he still can't be one of the fastest dudes in the world. He won a championship in 2021. It doesn't matter that Eli was on. He was Kawasaki Eli. Chase was there. AC was fresh at the time. Kenny was good. He won a title. He beat everybody. He won, I don't know how many motos he won, overalls, whatever. He did what he did. Dylan is still one of the best guys in the world. And Jett, it's been proven when you give Jett pressure, he's prone to make mistakes. He did make a lot of mistakes that one at Paula, but also, and I talked with Wyman about this, I don't think Chase was willing to lay it on the deck that second moto at Paula to just pass Jett. Because how many times did Chase lose a bunch of time because he made a mistake?
Yeah.
And he reeled him right back in. So that tells me that second moto, whatever they found, Chase could cork out just the fast laps that Jett could because he could reel him back in. So Will Jett go 22-0? No, I don't believe that because it's really fucking hard. It's the same thing we always have with, can you go this and this in Supercross? These guys are going to get better. Other guys are going to come back. And eventually, Jett's just going to get a bad start. Eventually, he's going to. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, you don't think that if we go to round 6 and all those guys, well, maybe not AP because I don't know. AP is probably close to 100%, maybe. But like Dylan,
he has the worst
Coop,
luck, but
whatever,
we'll get to him.
They get a start and he's coming from 15th. Who knows? What happens if he has a sense of urgency where he has to, I got to go 2 seconds a lap faster because those guys are way out front, even with the depleted field. And he just crashes. Like, Jett's...
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, in all honesty, I hope at some point Dylan is able to get up there and at least challenge for a while because it'll make that 450 class more interesting. Because to be really honest with you, especially as the summer goes on, if you see Cooper and AP and Dylan, if everything stays the status quo it is right now, start to spread out so they're not battling, this 450 class sucks.
I don't believe Coop, even at 100%, is going to ever have something for the top guys outdoors because I don't think he won the 250 championships. We all know what he did on the 250s, whatever. But he doesn't put enough focus into outdoors, even if he's 100%. Now, he rode really well these last 4 motos. Surprised the shit out of me. I don't care about the depleted
Well, he's
field.
up to 8 or 9 motos now, he said. So yeah. he's doing well.
I don't believe he's ever... It's going to be Dylan. If Chase comes back, whatever. We start getting some of these other guys. I think that when Barsha comes back, he can put his hand in there. But no, is Jett winning this title? Yeah, this is definitely Jett's title to lose now. I don't believe 22-0 because of the fact that Jett's just not going out there and stomping people. If he was going out there and he was stomping by 30 seconds like a la Stu and Ricky did, I'd be like, yeah, there's no fucking chance. But we, once again, have never had to see Jett really lay it out on the line for an entire 35-minute moto. And that second moto at Paula, yeah, him and Chase, they did what they did. But let's be honest, I don't think either of them really wanted to like go into the red with how chewed up that track was because they knew at any moment the track was going to come up and bite them, and that could have been the end of their season. That track was dog shit.
Yeah, it sucked.
At the end of that second 450 moto. So I think even though they pulled a gap, I don't think those two were riding at 100%. You couldn't have rode that track at 100%. There's no way. They were probably riding at like 85%. You could just tell it's just their 85% with how well their bikes were working was just that much better than everybody else's 95%.
Yeah.
So, no, this is definitely Jett's title to lose, but I don't see 22-0 because at some point the cards aren't going to fall his way and he's going to have some bad luck and he's not going to be able to go to the front because guys have too much big of a gap, or a bike failure, whatever.
Let me ask you this. If he does go 22-0, let's just say it happens. Is it on the same level as Ricky and Stu, or you're going to put a big asterisk next to that?
No, because there's not enough people there.
I guess.
There's not enough people, and you're not winning by a minute. It doesn't matter that he's not trying. To be on the level of what Stu and Ricky did, you have to be dominant, and winning by 7 seconds, whether you're trying or not 100%, is not dominant.
I like the comment Stu made of like, yeah, you go ahead and go 22-0 because you're not 24-0.
But you've watched videos of those 24.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So you watched what they did to people.
Oh, yeah.
It's not when you went. If Jett goes out and he just all of a sudden wants to try to win by 30 seconds and he does that, or he just comes from like dead last to first, and it's not his fault that not everybody's there, but
it's almost
you have to be dominant. And just because you win every moto doesn't mean you're dominant.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't see it. It's not
still,
the same.
It's still dominating if you win every fucking moto. I mean, like, that's a...
Yeah, but you're not...
dominant.
If I can see you on the start of a section, at the end of a section, you're not dominating me. At some point, I could
feel like that's splitting hairs a little bit, but...
How so? Because
it's like, okay, I'm going to win every single fucking race. And not just overalls. I'm going to win every single fucking moto. But hey... You didn't win by 30 seconds, so like you're just not dominant. So like it doesn't fucking count.
Yeah, because if we can see in a section and you crash and I can pass you before you get up, that's not dominating me.
Guess.
Because that means that if I wicked it up and went my full like potential, I could run the same speed as you at any given moment. Nobody was able to run what Stu and Ricky did at any moment, whether they tried or not.
Like I said, I feel like we're splitting hairs, and to be honest, I feel like part of that. And at least we have something to talk about with this here. I feel like part of that, too, is the mindset with Ricky and Stu way different than the mindset with Jett. Jett's just like, yo, I want to win. But, like, he's not like, oh, I need to dominate. We're like, Stu and Ricky were like, I need to fucking dominate you.
And that's the difference, though, between them and Jett.
I guess.
That's the difference between that era and this era. Winning, great, all that. But when there's just... you played hockey, so you can understand this. You've done other things other than ride motocross.
Yeah.
There is something to when you crush your opponent.
There is.
You mentally rip their soul out of their chest because you know no matter what they do at any given moment. That's the thing. If I can,
but that's a mindset thing. Like you and I have that mindset too. But I don't think that's what I'm talking about.
And that's not wrong with Jett.
I don't think Jett has that mindset. So that's where it's like. I mean, honestly, I think yesterday, if he really wanted to, he could have won by 45 seconds. Like those guys did not get that much better in a week to drop 40 seconds. But here's the thing: he didn't have anybody pushing the boat like he did with Chase the week before, which is what we saw. I mean, even the week before, like he put 10 seconds on Chase that first moto, but again, that was a management thing because he got 10 seconds halfway
Chase
in.
Also
and
was
just
a lot
managed
better
it.
the second moto.
Yeah, and then the second moto, Chase is a lot better and pushes him. Kind of like Eli and Chase last year, of like they just pushed each other and went 30 yarded everybody. Because I think if Chase comes back, that you're going to see more of that. I think they're going to continue to beat these guys by 30-plus seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going to get the same thing as last year. Now, does Dylan shorten that gap? I don't know.
I stand by my comment. I don't expect Dylan to be Dylan until after the break.
But I don't see. But here's the other thing. If Chase doesn't come back, I don't see Jett. I don't think Jett has that mindset of crushing people like that. So I don't think we see him win by 30 seconds. I think we see a lot of what we saw yesterday of him managing a 5 to 10 second gap over those guys.
Which is fine because
you're just running that all summer.
You win titles, you're cashing the checks, you're making money. There's nothing wrong with it. I just think for me, that's why for my era that I grew up with through the 90s, through the 2000s, it's hard for me to put these guys that are dominant on that level. It's one reason why I always respect Hurlings so much is because when Hurlings was at his best, he wanted to crush people. RV was a little bit of that way. It's just
Hurlings has that mindset too, though.
Yeah, it's just something to me where you crush your opponent and you don't give them any hope. Mm-hmm. When you can see within touching distance, you give them a little bit of a smidge of hope. Yeah. When I go on and put 30 on you within the first 10 minutes, those guys know that no matter what they fucking do, even if they're 100%, they can't because that was the same with Stu and Ricky.
And I fully understand what you're saying, and
it's not like I respect Jett any less because of it. It's just
the mindset of it though is like where I think there's a difference.
Yeah, oh yeah,
so,
for sure.
Because like I said, I really think like if Jett had that same mindset, yesterday you'd have seen him won by 45 seconds, both motos again, no problem.
And then this would be a totally
he doesn't care. He's like, as long as I win, I don't give a shit.
And this would be a totally different conversation. And I'd be out here be like, okay, yep, Jett is that dude. He is that dude. And like I said, it's not like I respect him any less. It's just it's why I've always put Ricky and Stu on a higher pedestal than everybody else. Because when they went out there, and Stu always jokes about this, maybe not so much because he's in a more of a different, more professional role now, so he can't say certain things. But they're like, I knew going to the line that these motherfuckers had nothing for me, even if they wanted to. Yeah. So.
But Stu's also admitted, too, of, like, racing down to the level after when Ricky wasn't there, after Ricky was gone.
And that's why he didn't win as many titles, because I think he backed it way off.
Which is why, like I said, I fully think it's a mindset thing, but I think it'll be super interesting because, like, there's going to be some real hard conversations here if you get to the end of Jett's 450 career and he's won, however many titles to be in the realm with Ricky. And let's say this season here, and I'll just go with this season. I won't even talk future-wise as far. If he goes 22-0, so if he has a perfect outdoor season and he's got however many different titles where he's in that same realm with Ricky and, including wins and stuff, I mean, then you're going to have to have some hard conversations about, like, really splitting hairs, like are we counting the wins and titles, or is it if it's not a certain way we don't attribute it the same, like there will be some hard conversations at the end of his career if it continues to go in the trajectory it's going.
You know why I can't ever do it, and it's the same thing I've said about RV. You look at the competition that Ricky had to, and we've talked about this enough. And Cole, there was there's like K-Dub and Ferry and all them, but the difference of guys racing now. But here's the thing though, and it really sucks. It really sucks that Jett isn't a little bit older, and he got into it a little bit earlier, where he had to race Ricky, or not Ricky, but Eli.
Yeah.
Because outside of Chase and Dylan, it's rough because we know he's never going to be that guy in Supercross. And who knows if he even ever comes back to being the guy outdoors. He's had some bad injuries the last couple of years. And maybe Dylan just never gets back to where he was 2 years ago, which would be really unfortunate considering like where getting that title in his rookie year, whatever. Ricky had to race Stu and Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Jett has to race Chase.
Yep. Well,
you have to look at it.
There's another guy coming.
Who? Hunter?
No.
Who are you talking about? Don't even. Don't even. Don't even. No, don't even.
The trajectories.
Don't even. No, don't even. We're
a long ways off, but the trajectory's there to make it very. It could be very. I mean, it could be a Ricky Stu thing.
You have to win a title in your rookie year to be that dude. RV did it. Kennard did it.
We'll get to this when we talk about 250s. It's early.
How dare you? Now we'll get to it. How dare you, you throater. But no. The last thing I'll say about it's such a freaking bummer that Eli is not there right now.
Super bummer.
Because I'll tell you what, you know that if Eli was there, he would make Jett go to 100.
Yeah.
And we would really see what, not to say that Chase obviously won't do that if he comes back or can't, but Eli, you know that with Eli, you're not going to shortchange effort. Yeah. You know that he would make Jett to go 100. And once again, this comment is not a shot at Jett. You would really see what Jett's made of.
Yeah.
Because Eli would make him go to his max. And you would really see, can Jett do that for an entire moto? Or is this just, that's Jett, this is what he has at a lap-to-lap basis? And maybe he's just not the guy yet. I don't know, man. It really sucks that we didn't get to see Eli this outdoors because Eli upped Chase. I fully, this sounds really shitty, I give so much credit to Eli because he is the reason why Chase is where Chase is now.
Yeah.
I don't think had Chase gone to war with Eli like he did all summer, we would be seeing this level of Chase right now.
I don't think so either.
Now, obviously, Keir and the people around him, Chase is the work that Chase puts in. But, man, when Chase ends his career, no matter how many, if he wins a bunch more titles or never wins another title, whatever you want to say, Chase is going to have to look back at his career and go, yep, Eli is the reason why I am where I am.
Now, as long as we're on the topic of Chase here, because we talked about him a lot here, so our worst nightmare happens. I mean,
why the fuck would you go back to Paula? I don't care if it's a secret test.
They had a big team test.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And they weren't the only team there.
Man,
I think the teams all rented that track, which
God,
I agree is dumb. But
why?
But then he crashes, concussion, and then on top of that, we find out he has mono. So like, here's the big question, and they talked about this on the shit show with Hopper and Coach and everybody. Does he come back before the Super Motocross thing? Because he's locked into that.
I think he comes back for outdoors at some point, man. It just depends on how bad that concussion was.
I find it funny because you look at his social and it's, I'm sitting out this weekend. Then you look at Honda and it's like, he's out indefinitely.
That makes me believe that he wants to come back because if he would have said something that's contrary to the team, I'd be like, okay, but the fact that he says, I'm just sitting out this weekend, I think he wants to come back, dude.
But
I think he wants to come back.
Is like you can't just get like mono's kind of like what's it called, Epstein Barr. Like you don't just get rid of it. You just got to kind of sit and just wait for it to subside. So
it makes me wonder. If we don't see him by the break, after the break, which is Redbud, then we're not. I don't think we'll see him until the first round at ZMAX.
I'll be real honest, man. I'm doubtful we're gonna see him.
I just don't know.
I think I think it's a situation of he kind of wants to, but at the same time, he's out of there. Like he's out of Honda. So like, let's face it.
Then I believe that's on them. I don't believe that's on Chase. I think Chase really wants to prove a point, and I think he wanted to prove a point outdoors. And we have obviously a long time for him to prove the point of Jett. I'm better than Jett. If he sits out the whole summer, that makes me believe that it's a team thing and not him. That he just dude, we'll pay you.
Yeah,
you don't need to come back.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. See if we can find him at Redbud and ask him off the record.
Well, and that's another thing too, being that it's Redbud of all places. If he's not there, I don't think we see him.
Well, I will say, and I was texting Coach and them the other day after the shit show of, he was talking to the KTM guys so much at Paula that Isaac noticed, which is interesting.
Dude, I think he's going to be really good on that KTM, man. I think he's going to be very good at KTM.
Yeah,
I think that because he's going to have no mental pressure of, I'm not the guy. He's going to get all the attention. I've said this before. It doesn't matter. We both don't think Coop's going to be on that team next year. But even if Coop was, for whatever reason, Chase is the guy. Coop hasn't won a title in 2 freaking years. Yeah. Chase just won a Supercross title, whatever or not. It doesn't matter. He's got the number 1 plate to hit. It's his. The bikes, obviously, that KTM is not the same bike it was last year. They figured out whatever they needed to do with the chassis.
They've got it more in order.
Chase is gonna. I think Chase is gonna be really fucking good on that KTM, dude. I think
might be.
I think just like I think that if Jett went to KTM, their styles it's hard for me to believe that you put them on any bike and they wouldn't be good. So I think he's going to be really good. And now you don't got to deal with the mental pressure of, oh, I'm not the guy on my own fucking team. I'm the guy. I'm going to get all of the attention. What, I want the attention now. I'm going to get it. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot of Chase and Jett battles for the rest of however long they want to race. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, once again, it's a bummer that Eli's not there. It's a real fucking bummer.
It is.
This would be a totally different conversation right now if Eli was there.
Yep. All right, so let's move on here. So Dylan goes 2-3 for second.
Like I said, that bike was still shit, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe they did find something, but whatever they found, it's not much better.
The way he talked and everything I heard, he was much happier second moto yesterday. And
well, good, because I thought he was going to die every time he was coming down the hills.
Yeah. So Webb goes 4-2. He was pretty pumped to be third place.
I mean,
I think it's a
how much better is he going to get?
I don't know.
Because like,
did you hear about how this whole outdoor deal came to be for him anyway?
No.
So he was really trying to go race World Supercross, and KTM would not let him because in case everyone forgot, he had a Supercross only deal with KTM.
Yeah.
Then obviously we have the Super Motocross thing comes around. He wins some races, so he's in. So he's got to race KTM here in September. So they put that contract in front of him, and I really think too. I don't think he wanted to start the season, but from what I understand, it was pretty much a thing of like, you can sign it and you can race the whole series or we don't want you. So that's why he's racing right now.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know that necessarily health-wise he was ready to go, but yeah, so that's super. And also from what I understand is that they were very uncooperative with anything of trying to allow him to do World Supercross stuff, obviously.
Well, great way to end this time at KTM before he goes back to Star.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how pumped he is to be there. I'm not sure how much better he gets.
He's riding well. I mean, he's going to get better because once we know he's not 100%. I don't know what his percentage is, but he's not 100%. He's going to get better.
I mean, the only thing is right now is that, like, if something happens to Jett for some reason, he's right there in the title fight.
Well, yeah, I mean, just by pure consistency.
Yeah. But, that's what I'm saying is, like,
when they showed those numbers at the end of that second moto, like 42 starts and then 19 overall top fives, but then you look at that one, like that literal one glaring weakness on that resume that there's one overall, which it was Millville in the mud.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows he only has the one win, but I didn't realize like how those statistics, the disparity between that. And
there's not a lot going on.
It's like, man, dude, you haven't done much in your 450 Outdoor your career. Granted, the first 2 years was on a very shitty Yamaha.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how much better he's going to get. And once again, you got to think about like, when Barsha comes back, are we going to see Craig at all this summer?
Yep.
Is Malcolm going to come back? We know Anderson's not coming back. Let's be real.
No, Anderson's coming back, bro. Just listen.
Yeah, whatever.
The real media out there for Moto is Anderson's coming back. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, even if he does come back, he's going to be like, whatever. So
actually, I heard he signed a new deal with Kawasaki. So
that's interesting.
I don't know. We'll see.
But yeah. So you got to figure when those guys come back, he's going to slide outside the top 5. I'm telling you right now, he's not going to beat Barsha when he comes back. He's just not. Plain and simple. Like Barsha to me, if he would have started the series right now, would be, well, Chase is gone. He would be the third place guy right now.
Yeah.
If Barsha never would have got hurt at the end of Supercross and Barsha would have continued the last couple rounds and then gone into outdoors, Barsha right now, well, he'd be your second place guy right now because Chase is obviously, he'd be your second place guy, plain and simple. So, I mean, I don't really know how much better he can do. I mean, he's got second in a moto, so
I don't know either because I don't see him making that gap up.
No, and even if he is 100%, I mean, I don't see any of these tracks coming up where it's like, oh yeah, Webb's been really, really good on there on a 450. No, I mean,
I don't know how Webb's been on any of these tracks on a 450 to be honest with you. So his little sabbatical last year, it's like I don't even remember prior to that. So, all right, so AP 3-6 for fourth, and this guy just
shooting himself in the foot.
Dude, he just has the worst luck. Like, I mean, how about the crash and then the clutch lever's broken? Can't get the bike in neutral. Can't get it started. It's just he probably honestly is the second best guy.
Right now, yes. If you're talking about
right now,
he's definitely the second. Yeah, for sure.
But he just like, I don't know. He gets caught behind these guys. Cannot make a move around him. Maybe it's the tracks. Everybody talked yesterday was kind of one line, but
I think that's more on him, man. I think that's more on him. Like, when you've been doing this long and you're at that level and you've won championships like he has been, you gotta find your way around people.
Yeah.
Like you're when you're young and in the 250 class and you're going at 100 miles a minute, that's one thing. You get amped up, you get ahead of yourself, but like, yeah, tracks are shit. They're one line, but this is outdoors, man. Like you can use a lot of that shit for Supercross, but the difference is outdoors, you can just bonsai into someone. You can just bonsai down a hill. Even if it's sketchy and you take it, that's the difference. In Supercross, you can't do that. If you really want to pass someone, once again, it depends on how far you're going to go over your limit. You just bonsai down a hill. Like, plain and simple. Like, even if the lines are shit, I'm just going to hold it on longer going in this corner. Supercross, we know you can't do that shit because the margin for error is so much smaller. But outdoors, man, it's simple. You can just bonsai into a corner, crash maybe, whatever. But these guys know how to pass people. It just depends on, I mean, yeah, when he got into second, gap was at like 4.8. He dropped it down to like 3.1 or whatever. He closed a little bit. Jett worked it back up. So, like, I don't think AP's speed is the issue. It's just, dude, he's got to stop shooting himself in the foot, which these, like, crashes he's been having a real
It's just bad luck, man. It's just like in Supercross. It's terrible luck. I don't know why.
His crashes that he has are just so awkward.
Yeah. AC goes 5.4 for fifth. He's not super stoked right now. But
boy, he was... God, he was for it. It's an airplane.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's a lot. I thought it was a lawnmower for a second. Yeah, I heard an interview. He's not super stoked. At the same time, he can't really push anymore because of his hand situation. So, I don't know, man. This
is where he's going to be.
Yeah.
Until more people come back, and then more people come back, and you're just going to push him back further.
Yep. Ty Masterpool jumps up to the 450 class, goes 7.7 for 6.
On his own deal. Cowie. Yeah. That's interesting.
He is an enigma all the time.
He's very weird.
Like, no one knows anything.
Really makes me wonder if he's riding a 450, what Redbud's going to look like.
Super Clips sponsors him.
What the hell is he going to do at Redbud?
Sports Clips, whatever. I don't know.
Like, Jesus,
whole
dude.
shot Jett. Just
lead
for 20 minutes. I don't know.
God, dude. Like, that's
You're just like, and then all the Ty Masterpool people come out of the woodwork, and they're like, give this kid a factory ride. Put him on Chase's bike.
When when I saw he was on the 450 list, I'm like, what? I'm like,
actually, I don't think it's his own deal. He's on a team.
Well, he started the 250 was his own deal then. If he's on a team now,
I heard this. He's on a team, and they decided, well,
it's his team.
The
then.
250 is so much to build them and maintain them. We might as well just go race 450s because the field's depleted and whatever. So that's why they're on 450. That's why he's on a 450 now.
Well, if it's the same thing he was at 250s, then that's a deal he put together.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, that's his thing.
But
not his team.
It's a team.
Yeah.
Anyway, Derek Drake goes 8.8 for 7.
Probably should have been riding a 450 all along, man. Because he's just a lot less sketchy on that 450.
I picked him for fantasy yesterday, and I was nervous because of the heat and the heart thing. But they said he got fixed.
The heart thing's gotten fixed.
Yeah, and apparently has now. So he's on the radar.
He's a lot less sketchy on that 450. That's for damn sure.
Jerry Robin, 10.9 for 8th.
In top 10 at Paula.
What the fuck is happening there? Like, he's just all of a sudden consistent Jerry.
That's his new name.
Like consistent Jerry. Okay.
I don't know. We talked about this in the preview show. Obviously everybody knows who Jerry Robin is, but you're going to see a lot of names at some of these races, especially, dude, I am so hyped for Southwick because you're going to see so many names that, like, just out of the woodwork. You're going to hear of guys that you've just never heard of. Good for Jerry, though, man, because, I mean, dude, you got to make hay when the sun's shining. And these guys, it's a perfect time for them to get top 10s. Like, just rack up the points. I don't mean to bring up another issue, but it is something we talked about with, as well as a lot of these privateers are doing, though. Remember how we made the comment, some of those guys on the bubble and Supercross in the 450s, like if they don't do outdoors, they might not make the playoffs?
Yeah.
That's a real thing now. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be interesting if we're going to see some of those guys, and I'm not going to name names, but there are some guys that were on that bubble that we kind of asked, are they going to ride outdoors if they want to make it super motocross? And I think that some of them might have to.
Maybe. Okay, so Lorenzo Lacrucio goes 9.11 for 9th.
God,
him and Jose Butron riding the whatever it is, Wildcat team,
that
whatever.
Was really weird to see Jose Butron of all people.
16.15 for 10th, so good result.
16.15 for 10th.
Hold on. Freddie Noren goes 16.15 for 11, or I'm sorry, 6.15 for 11.
And in all fairness to Freddie, was one of the people that got fucked in that second.
Yeah, so Ryan Surratt riding his CRF 450R that's converted to an RX, but has started to be converted back to an R
because he's been riding
on
works
his
for the
off-road
Johnny
suspension,
Campbell
riding
Racing.
this.
Technically, man, that's a factory Honda off-road bike
Yeah, it goes 11-12 for 12th.
because he's rocking that good old steering stabilizer.
Yeah. Romain Pape.
Roman Pape.
Roman Pape.
Yeah.
Okay. 14-10 for 13th.
Dude from fucking bumfuck Egypt. He's from Europe.
Yeah. Chiz going, doing Chiz things at 12-13 for 14th. Michigan native Chris Prebula, 13 DNS for 15th. Got
he
caught
was in
up.
that-
Dude, he was like one of the initial ones.
I wonder
Somebody
how
cut
he's
him
doing
off.
because he was like,
He was flying through the air face first until the ground stopped him. Brandon Ray goes 21-14 for 16. B-Ray. Another Michigan native, Marshall Welton, goes 15 DNS. He got unlucky in both motos. I heard the first moto somebody torpedoed him somewhere.
I will say,
yeah.
and this is not like Marshall. I've seen the kid come up, Michigan native, good kid. Obviously proved himself last year. We'll say, well, some of the shit that happened to him at Hangtown wasn't his fault, like you just said. I'm a little underwhelming because I really would have thought with this field, like you could have how he rode last year, you could have easily slotted him into like that 6-7 position.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Paula. I don't know what happened at Paula, but like, dude, he was nowhere to be found.
No.
And I don't know if he had issues at Paula too, so maybe he did.
He's a nice dude. Like we've talked to him, and so like I don't have any problem with him. But yeah, I definitely thought he would be more towards that top 10
When you told me that there was
spot.
only going to be 5 factory dudes, 6 at
Yeah.
Paula, I'd be like, with the way Marshall rode last year, getting in the top 10 with a lot of people there.
Yep.
Oh, dude, he's going to be like that next technically he's on a factory bike, that non-big name.
Yeah.
So
Another Michigan native, Jace Kessler, goes 25-16 for 18th, and he was running way up front
that
that first
OnlyFans
moto.
Honda?
Yeah, he's running way up front that first moto there.
he was running top 10 for, I don't know.
Yeah, a long time.
5-10
Then
minutes,
he must have went down. Runkles goes 29-17 for 19th, and then Chandler Baker goes 17-33 for 20th.
Now let's talk about the fact that Grant Harlan's name should have been up there. Cause
He got fucked that second moto with that huge crash there. That was gnarly too.
There's a lot of dudes that got claimed on that one.
I was trying to decide exactly what happened. It looked like somebody leaned in a bit on somebody on the inside or whatever, and yeah.
And another guy whose name wouldn't pop up that well, but coming through the back of the pack, Tyler Stepik. He was playing around in the back most of the day yesterday, but I think he got like 15th or 17th the first moto.
He went 18-31 for 22nd.
Yeah, so he was inside the top 20, but like he was almost dead last both motos off the start. He was riding a 250.
Yeah.
I don't know. He originally was supposed to do the 2-stroke thing. Him and Burkeen were like going to hook up. They were going to be 2-stroke guys, and then he must have got offered a ride. He's another guy that I look for, like really put his name in there when we go east. So yeah, just the 450 class, like it is. I told you, man, this is like the weirdest season I've ever seen.
It's super boring to watch, to be honest with you.
Like, look, I don't care what's going on. I'm always gonna watch. I'm always gonna love watching the motos because I like watching guys like. Watching Jett.
I'll be honest, I get real bored watching Webb, AP, and Dylan follow each other around.
Well, and I mean,
within
that's
like 2 seconds or all of them.
That's California. We're going to see a little bit different now that we've gotten out of the way to the shithole tracks that are California. But for me, like I said, it's always, I love deciphering guys' technique, watching what they're doing different. Jett, watching the way he rides the bike, how he approaches things. But, I mean, let's be real. This always kind of happens though. And anytime we race California tracks outside of Glen Helen, the racing isn't.
It's not great.
It's not great because tracks suck. No offense to Hangtown and Paula's. I think we need to get away from Paula. I don't know why we keep going. Well, I do know why, but we need to get away from Paula because Jesus, dude. If you're gonna do 2 rounds in California, there are many more tracks you could go to.
Yeah.
Outside of Paula, other than it won't be Glen Helen because they basically took their name out of the hat again.
100%. So that's been your 450 race recap brought to you by our friends at Gutterworks. Always well hung, like Justin Barsha.
Speaking of that, before we end the segment, has there been any word of like when he is coming back? Because he was walking around at Barsha. He was walking around at Paula.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything yet.
God, dude,
maybe Redbud, but I haven't heard anything.
You would think not only with the break, but it's Redbud.
Yeah.
He wants to be there. Because we know no matter what percentage he's at, he's going to make things interesting because he's just going to bounce off people.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right. So before we